The enemy, what I could only describe as the voice of the enemy, was telling me, once a drug addict, always a drug addict. Lord, I ask you to give me strength. Give me strength, God, to live life your way. Lord, give me strength to do it your way from here on out. I don't want to do it my way no more. God, I surrender. Forgive me of my sins. Help me, God. My name is Veronica Gonzales. I live in Orange, Texas. I am currently a day spa owner. I've been in Orange, Texas since 2011. So I work here as a massage therapist, day spa owner, also a professional athlete. I do personal training. I have a ministry as well, and I'm a Christian counselor, and I work with prison inmates in my local area. My mom was young. She was about 18 years old. My father was a few years older when they met. I was conceived. They were not married. After they split up, I was about 1.5 years and they split up. As my mom got deeper into drug addiction, I went and stayed most of the time with my grandmother. I was going from every home. I was going from my mom's house to my grandmother's house to my father's house. And there was totally three different scenarios in each house. I couldn't stay with my dad for too long because he married a woman that turned out to be abusive to me. There was a lot of trauma that I developed during that time with her. And so I didn't get to stay with him as much when I was little. I preferred staying with my grandmother. I did love Jesus when I was a kid. My dad taught me how to pray. He taught me the Our Father, the Psalms 23. And then when I started learning to read, it was part of my daily routine to read and study. One of the times that I went to go stay with my mom, I was walking to school and I was walking late, that I was making my way to school. So there was no other children walking along with me. I was about 7 years old. I was walking to school and this man came out of his car, pulled over, came out of his car, and he pulled me into his car. And he had very bad intentions towards me. When it was about to get to the scary part, I prayed the way my father had taught me to pray. And next thing I know, the man just put me out of his car. So I'm very thankful for the way that my father started teaching me young. There was times that I didn't want to go to church. There was times that I dreaded going to church because we were in church every time the doors open. But now looking back at that, I'm really grateful for all of his teachings and his inspiration and being somebody that I could look up to as an example. There was times that I did have to go and stay with my father, which I loved being with my father. It was just his wife at that time that was really hard for me. I would go stay with him, but at that time they went to the Pentecostal religion, so it was super strict with the dress code and the hair code, and very restrictive for a young girl and adolescents. They wound up getting a divorce. When they got a divorce, I decided I didn't want anything to do with the church. And I told my dad to take me to my mom's. And so I went to stay with my mom. And then that's when I started to fall away from everything that he taught me, fall away from the church. was about 11 years old. My dad went and dropped me off, and we were living at the time in some of the roughest areas of Houston. And my mom was still involved in drug addiction, and I didn't have any supervision. So I began to just run around and do things that a 11-year-old girl didn't have any business doing. There was some drug involvement at 11, some marijuana use, some alcohol use. I began having boyfriends at a really young age. Some of the boys were a lot older than myself. Just really looking for love in all of the wrong places. There was also another time that I got, again, taken by force by a boyfriend that I had broken up with. He came and told me that he was going to take me to get something to eat. And so I got in the car with him, and he never brought me back. He took me back to his house. And I remember being in that house locked up, not able to leave for days. And then finally a day came where my mom came knocking on the window or on the door, and he said, "Be quiet, don't say anything." And for a moment there, I wasn't going to say anything, but then I felt like this is my only chance. So I yelled, "Mom, I'm in here." And my mom started to really bang on the door. And when he opened the door, I was able to get away and go with my mom. Yes, there was a lot of drug abuse. There was a lot of promiscuity. I really just didn't know what I was looking for. I really was just looking to be loved and feel wanted, because I didn't feel like I had that. I never felt loved or accepted as a child. That led me into relationship after relationship after relationship. I wound up getting pregnant at 14 years old. At 14 years old, I ran off with a boy. He was 16 years old. He was in and out of the juvenile system. We wound up having 3 children back to back. It got really dangerous with him because he increased in his gang activity, he increased in his criminal activity, he increased in his violence, and it was becoming very unsafe for me and the children. So I wound up having to separate from him, which was really hard for me because all I wanted was for my children to have their real mother and real father, to raise them together. And then from there, I wound up moving to the Rio Grande Valley with my dad. My dad had moved to the Rio Grande Valley. We moved down there just to start a new life there. So when I moved there, my father had kind of a home. He and his new wife, they had a home that they would help women and young girls that were in a need of a place to stay. And I felt kind of envious that he was helping these people and that I had felt alone and abandoned. But it was just a perception, because when I had to leave my previous relationship, when I had to leave their father, I wound up having to go to a homeless shelter. And I was in a homeless shelter, and my father came and got my kids and took my kids in. I saved money, and then I came back to join him and my children. He had my children, and he had them well taken care of. But yet when I got there, I was just so angry. I was just angry at everything. I was angry at life. So I was pretty bitter. But my dad did guide me in my anger. He did let me know that he was the boss. So while I was there in the valley, I met somebody. I was about 20, 21 years old, in my early 20s. And we formed a relationship, and then we wound up moving in together. We wound up getting married afterwards. But before we got married, I started getting involved with drugs, deeper into drugs. So I started using cocaine. He thought that it would be a good idea to sell cocaine because we frequented the bars quite often, and everybody was looking for cocaine, and he thought it would be an easy way to make money. It went from selling small amounts to people that were looking for it. We wound up being led into drug trafficking. I believe I was in my mid to late 20s as I began to just fall deeper and deeper into drug addiction, and I couldn't stop no matter how hard I tried. My husband was very controlling. I begged to go to rehab and he would not let me go. I wound up feeling that suicide was a better option than what I was currently living. And I would wake up crying simply because I woke up. I didn't want to wake up. I would wake up in fear. I would wake up not knowing what the day was going to bring, what it was going to be like. And one of these times where I was contemplating suicide, I believe that the Lord just kind of gave me an image of my children going through different stages of their life without me. When I saw that image, I said, no, I have to fight. I have to fight for my life. I have to fight for my children. But I didn't know what to do, so I just continued going down that same cycle. There was one night that I was outside coming down from a cocaine high. It was almost about to be dawn break. And I was so angry at God up until this point. I even renounced him. I said, I don't believe there's a God. My mom can tell you that. I said, I don't even believe that there's a God anymore. I believe that the same sense of peace that you get from going to church, that I could get it from going to yoga. I was so misled. And then there was finally that one day, I was standing in the backyard. The sun was starting to come up, and I looked up to the sky and I said, I know you are there. I know you're there. Why don't you help me? Why do you leave me like this? And then I said, I need you to help me. At that moment, nothing really changed. I went back inside. I crawled under the blankets before everybody in the house. My children started waking up, so they couldn't see me the way that I was. And I just hid in my room and hid under my blankets. Maybe about a year or two after that moment, I was still in drug addiction, but I was also praying every day that the Lord would set me free from it. My dad stayed consistent in my life. My dad would come and check on me really regularly, and I would be so shameful that I didn't want him to see me. I would stay away from him. But then came the day where they came to tell me that he was having a birthday and the church was going to be celebrating the birthday. So my ex and I decided we were going to go. It was necessary for us to be there for my dad's birthday. The plan was whenever everybody ducked their heads to pray, that we would duck out because we had to go to the bar. When that time came, everybody bowed their heads to pray. My ex began to nudge me that this was our moment to leave, but I just had something come over me that I wanted to pray. So I said, oh, hold on just a moment, I want to pray. I looked at my father. I was so proud of him, and I said, God, I want to make my father proud of me. And then I looked up to the ceiling and I said, God, I want to make you proud of me. And I couldn't help it but to cry as I said that. And as I cried, I felt like this oil was being poured out over me. The addiction that I had struggled with every day, the torment of that addiction that I struggled with every day, instantly broke off of me in that moment. I was on fire for the Lord. I was so happy. I dove into prayer. I dove into my Bible. I started attending church. My husband didn't have a conversion. I had changed and he didn't want to change. My husband decided that he didn't want to be in the marriage anymore. And I left from the Rio Grande Valley and I came out here to Orange, Texas. Through this time of my life, I'm coming out of a lot of bad habits and a lot of bad character and coming here, I had nobody to lean on. I had nobody to depend on. I was single now, and I had to learn how to take care of myself and my children by myself. And the only one that I had was God and prayers and my faith in Him. So just asking Him to lead me and to guide me every step of the way. And in that relationship with Him, He helped me to develop my character. As I came out here to Orange, leaving that lifestyle, leaving that routine of drugs, I had to find something else to replace that with. And that's when I believe that the Lord led me to health and fitness, which led to bodybuilding. It gave me that ability to grow in confidence in who I was, and to help my self-esteem levels come up, because up until this point I had no self-esteem, I had no value, no worth. And so this is how I came into health and bodybuilding.
Right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just let you know what type of person you are. 6, 7. Not everybody can do this. 9. Come on, baby. Come on. 10. Give me 2 more. 11. 1 more. Yes, there it is. Good. Good job. All right. Put them down. Let shoulders rest.
So, as long as I've been working with you, why isn't it easier?
That's because once it gets easy, and if you stay in that easy place, then we could become complacent, right? Then nothing changes, nothing grows. We always have to push forward, wait, in order to keep changing our body, to maintain our body. If we stop and do the same thing every day, do the same, remain the same. Same way as in life. If it gets hard and we just shut down, then guess what? But we stay in our faith, we push through, we face the challenges, and we grow.
What God has really shown me through bodybuilding and through the help of my coaches: discipline, self-control, loving yourself, loving others, being humble. God definitely built my platform. All along I was asking Him, why am I doing this? And I really don't want to do it if you're not in it. And He really did use it to build my platform for ministry. And so now when people know that I'm a woman of faith, they know that I believe in stewarding your body. Your body is your temple. We have to nourish it. It's the only body that the Lord gives us to live in. And not only that, but a lot of people of faith are hindered because they give into obesity or they give into food addictions. And so they're not able to fulfill the task that the Lord has ordained for them from the beginning of time. And He really impressed that on my heart. And I'm really thankful for my coach because, I didn't have any confidence in myself, but I believed in what he saw in me. The biggest milestone was winning my first pro show, becoming a pro athlete. Then a year later, in 2017, I won my first world title. Then 2018, I won my second world title. This right here was proof that God was for me, because how does somebody that was almost 200 pounds, suicidal, addicted to drugs, had never had a history of sports, God made that happen. That was the biggest thing that built my confidence. Through bodybuilding, I was able to increase in encouragement in myself, and encouragement in being partnered with God and what I could do in a faith relationship with Him. That led me to expanding my business and going into Christian counseling. The biggest goal and passion that I have in life is to help others come out of addiction, help others come out of depression, help others recover from childhood trauma. My biggest prayer to the Lord was, God, you have to use me. if anything at all, Lord, please don't let everything that I've gone through be for nothing. Don't let it be in vain. You have to use me. And he's answered that prayer by giving me a community of people that I get to encourage, and I get to take them through steps of coming to their healing, to their place of healing through a relationship with God. From there, I received an invitation to join a prison ministry. I've never thought I would be in prison ministry. It never crossed my mind. But going in there, we run the inmates or the prisoners through a 14-week program where they are doing a self-discovery on their own emotions and their emotional trauma, and what led them to a life of criminal activity, and what led them to where they are today, and how to break their cycle. It's been tremendous because I can see the changes in them week by week. And those that graduate, they have such a beam of hope and light in them because they graduated it. When I had my conversion and I came back to Christ in 2016, I knew that as a Christian believer that I would have to forgive my mom. So up until 2020, we did not have a relationship. I didn't have a mom. I felt like my whole life growing up, I did not have a mom. I was truly able to forgive her from the inside, deep down inside. I now all of a sudden have my mom. And she's been my biggest supporter. She's been my biggest encourager. She's been my biggest prayer warrior. And we have a relationship today that we never had before. You grew up feeling like you didn't have a mom. I grew up feeling like I didn't have a mom. And that changed only just 5 years ago when God came in and restored and repaired. And he gave me back the mom I never had. And he gave you back a daughter you didn't have.
I'm so proud of you, how you have come a long way. You have become a beautiful young woman of God who just gives us encourage, and you encourage me with your words, and I see what he's done in you, how you became more patient, more loving, more kind and giving. And I just feel like I am so blessed to have you as my child.
Listen up. Listen up, devil. You don't know who you're messing with. Do you know who my dad is? Elohim, Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. Thank you, God. Thank you for saving me. Thank you for giving me another chance at life. Thank you, God, for what you've done. I can't thank you enough. Thank you for saving my family. Thank you for saving me. So my life has just been so full of peace and so full of joy. I wake up every day now just so thankful to have the home that I have, to have the friends that I have. To have my family. And to have the love of the Father. I wake up every morning thankful for him. Thankful for what he saved me from. And it's shown me that there in everything that I was looking for, I could only find it in him. And there is no greater love than the love of the Father.